I don't know where to start, where to begin about my feelings of this thing. This story is one that I had to keep a secret in fear that my friends or family may persecute me and send me to a mental facility. What I have seen, what I have heard, has been shot down by many as simple lies. This story hopefully will open the eyes to some who don't believe in the words of it and what it is. Let me start off on a new note. The first time I encountered it was the late summer of 2008. My family's house had been foreclosed since we could not afford to pay it off anymore. We bought a smaller house in a nice neighborhood that was just about 2 miles away from one prior. I guess we just liked the area. It was all well for a while. It felt like home. It felt nice and pleasant, even when it rained. You felt safe, secure. Then one day, after we settled in, I decided to go for a walk on a nearby trail. No one else was there, not even as far as I looked in front of me. And as I turned around, not even a single person. It seemed a bit odd. It was a nice day out, so why am I the only one to enjoy the day on this sidewalk? Whatever. I guess that I shouldn't have been complaining about having a trail all to my lonesome self. I continued to trek and peered to both sides of the trail. To my left, a rather small but steep hill that led to more houses, and to my right was just a thin woods, teeming with green trees and dirt. This woods ran across the trail the entire way. Being my boy self, I jumped into the nest of foliage, hoping to find some adventure. I looked around and examined everything. I picked up a stick and began to swing it like a sword. I continued inside the small, narrow woods to find something that mildly disturbed me. A small rabbit about the size of a large man's shoe lay dead across the leafy, earthly floor. I dropped the stick and kneeled down on one knee to examine it further. Its stomach had been torn down the middle, with the entrails barely seeping out. Something more odd was that there seemed to have been no bite marks or scratches, as if it just seemed to die. Then a weird feeling in the back of my head entered, a tingling feeling. It didn't hurt, but it was very irritating. It made me want to just hit my head against the tree to make it stop. But even as a child, I knew that was foolish. I didn't feel any more adventure in me after the rabbit, so I trekked back home and ate supper without informing my family about the rabbit. The next morning I woke up to hear talking downstairs. My mom and my sister were talking about something on the deck. I woke up and looked to my mom, who had a disgusted look on her face. "What's going on?" I asked in a worried tone. "I think an animal left its lunch on our porch." I looked out to see under our porch swing was a pile of animal entrails. I whispered to myself, "The rabbit." My mom cleaned them off and threw them away. Nothing more happened during the day. It went as all days go on. But that night I had a dream, or at least I thought it was a dream. It started out with me in the woods. I was laying down in some spot where I found the rabbit. I was cold. I was naked, and I didn't have a clue what was happening. I couldn't move. But I saw in the distance a shadowy figure that seemed to be constructed of the darkness. It seemed to almost be in a good 7 feet tall. He had a deer-like shape for his head, horns curled from the shoulders and back. He walked like a man, but had hooves, or what seemed to have been hooves. I don't know. He walked towards me, creeping past the trees. A once dark forest had been made even darker as a cloud of misty fog followed in its trail. It spoke in a demonic, monotone voice.
You think that you are of a higher importance than a rabbit? That you are greater?
I couldn't respond. I was in shock at everything that was happening. He spoke once more.
The earth will die, and all will cry. Bring the tears of the unfaithful, the untrustworthy, the cynical men and women to me. They won't know me by an image, but by their undying fate. Maybe they should have listened to the crazy man on the street. Maybe they should have listened to the one who tried to convince them that it was no myth, or if what they all saw was indeed true flesh and fact. You know, my son, that little thing that just catches your curious eye, that little unnatural feeling makes you feel out of place, that something's wrong. That physical feeling when you feel something touch you but you debunk it as just your mind. That is me, the Midnight Man.
He kneeled to my level, and with a soft yet noticeable touch, he poted my stomach with a pointed, sharp claw. He arose and walked away. I peered at my naked body. My stomach turned into a shadowy black, and it traveled through my bare body. Just then I awoke into my bed, sweating through my sheets. I glanced down to my pillow to see that it was covered in blood. I touched my face to feel the blood dripping from my nose. Since the day these events occurred, I have been seeing more and more things, and my self-being has changed. My grades in school dropped, and I began to slack off and focus on the world out of school, the woods, my house, the Midnight Man, though I haven't seen or heard of him since. I can feel his presence within me. I don't know if he is evil or good. I do know I know more about life and myself being after my encounter with him. I still suffer from the tingling in my head, and I will always think about what he'd said that day. I believe that this man can enter anyone's thoughts and break you down until you change entirely. This thing is dangerous to anyone, and whatever this thing is, he must be stopped.